Level 1. The target. You're 19 years old. You are a first-year student at a massive university in Benin City, Nigeria. The heat inside your concrete dormitory is suffocating, and the electricity cuts out constantly. You are studying by the glow of your phone. Your mother sold family land just to pay your first semester tuition. You have no money, no connections, and no protection. You are completely invisible, just trying to survive. A loud knock echoes through the hallway. The door is kicked open. 3 young men step inside. They wear black berets. One holds a heavy wooden plank. Another casually swings a rusted machete. They demand your laptop and the little cash you have. You try to explain that your family has nothing left. You try to explain that without the laptop, you fail your classes. The man with the plank swings it into your ribs. You collapse on the floor, gasping for air. The leader crouches down next to your face. He tells you this is their campus. You breathe their air. You pay their tax. He takes your belongings and whispers that if you go to the police, you will be found dead in the bush behind the library. They leave. You lie in the dark. You realize that in this environment, there are only predators and prey. You decide, right there on the concrete, that you will never be prey again. Level 2, the initiate. 6 months pass. You've proven you can keep your mouth shut. You start hanging around the corners where the men in black berets gather. You tell one of them you are tired of being weak. They tell you to be at a specific location at midnight. You are driven deep into the forest, miles away from the city. They call it bamming. You are stripped down to your underwear. 30 other boys stand with you in the humid night air. You are surrounded by 50 older members holding whips made of electrical wire. The beating begins. It makes the assault in your dormitory look like a joke. You are forced to crawl through the mud while they strike your back. You cannot fight back. You cannot run. You cannot cry out. If you show pain, they hit you harder. This is the test. They are dismantling your civilian identity. After 3 hours, you are dragged to a clearing with a roaring bonfire. A priest stands at an altar. He recites ancient oaths. He cuts your thumb with a razor blade. Your blood drips into a porcelain bowl filled with a dark liquid. Every boy bleeds into the same bowl. You are told to drink. The moment you swallow the metallic liquid, you are bound for life. There is no resignation, no retirement, no escape clause. You are a brother now, and brothers don't leave, they die. Level 3, the striker. You're 21. You barely attend classes anymore. You are a striker, the street-level enforcer. Your job isn't logistics, it's violence. The university is a battleground. Your confraternity is at war with a rival group over extortion rackets and territory. A rival member disrespects one of your leaders. The boss doesn't negotiate. He gives an order, handle it. You and 3 other strikers track the target to a crowded street market in broad daylight. You carry a heavy machete. You spot him walking out of a shop. You don't hesitate. You sprint toward him and swing the blade. The crowd scatters, screaming in terror. Nobody tries to stop you. The fear you project is absolute. You run to the getaway car and speed away. Your hands are covered in blood. You feel powerful, untouchable. But that night, the adrenaline fades. You realize you just hacked a man to death over an insult. The police are looking for you. The rival gang retaliates. 3 days later, they ambush one of your brothers outside a bar, leaving him with 16 stitches across his back. You sleep with a loaded gun under your pillow. You trust no one. You traded a small cage for a much darker one. Blood in, blood out. Level 4, the hacker. You're 24. The street wars attract too much police attention. The syndicate leaders see that you are smart and understand computers. They pull you off the streets and move you into the financial wing. The organization is expanding into cybercrime. It is cleaner than drugs, less violent than extortion, and harder for the police to track. You live in a heavily guarded compound in Lagos with 20 other young men. You run complex business email compromise scams and romance frauds. You spend months grooming a lonely, elderly widow in America. You manipulate her isolation, play on her empathy, and convince her to wire her life savings to a bank account you control. When the $50,000 hits the account, the room erupts in cheers. You just made more money in 10 seconds than your father made in his entire life. You keep a percentage. The rest goes up the chain to fund the syndicate's operations and bribe local politicians. You wear designer clothes, drive a luxury car, and drink expensive champagne at VIP clubs. You build a wall of cognitive dissonance. You tell yourself the victims aren't real, just names on a screen. But deep down, you know the weapon simply changed from a machete to a keyboard. Level 5, the Chief Priest. You're 30. You have proven yourself in violence and generated millions in cyber fraud. You are promoted to Chief Priest. You don't execute crimes anymore. You are the keeper of traditions. You operate out of a shrine hidden in the forest. You oversee all initiation ceremonies, recite the oaths, and perform the blood rituals for new recruits. But your duties go darker. The syndicate runs a massive human trafficking network, moving desperate women from rural villages to Europe. Before they are smuggled, they are brought to your shrine. You take a clipping of their hair and a drop of their blood. You wrap it in a cloth bundle and tell them it holds their soul. You tell them if they run to the European police or refuse to pay their smuggling debt, the curse will kill their families back home. The psychological chain is far stronger than a physical lock. You know the ritual is just theatre, a psychological weapon to enforce absolute compliance. But the victims believe it, and because they believe it, they endure years of exploitation without ever speaking to the authorities. You are an architect of human misery. You wash your hands, but they never feel clean. You think about your family, realizing your decisions destroyed your own soul. Level 6, the International Operator. You're 36. You are too valuable to stay in Nigeria safely. The syndicate relocates you to Europe. You are smuggled into Italy. You are an international operator now, managing operations across Europe. You coordinate cyber fraud money mules, drug distribution networks, and human trafficking routes. You sit at tables with Italian mafia bosses in Milan. You don't speak their language, communicating entirely through a translator. The Italians supply the narcotics. Your men handle the street-level distribution because your strikers are willing to commit the brutal violence the Italians want to avoid. You are making millions of euros. You buy real estate across 3 countries and hide your wealth in offshore accounts. But the pressure is crushing. Interpol has a red notice out for your arrest. The Italian Carabinieri are listening to your phones. You manage your empire entirely through fear. When a street dealer tries to skim money, you don't call the police. You send enforcers to dismember him and leave the bags outside his apartment. The message is clear. You live in a luxury villa overlooking the Mediterranean, but you are a ghost. You cannot return home. You cannot visit your mother's grave. You have everything you could want and nothing you actually need. Level 7. The Lord. You're 42. You return to Nigeria under a new identity. You have amassed incredible wealth in Europe, and now you buy the ultimate protection, political power. You are promoted to a lord. You operate from the shadows, running the organization like a corporation. To the public eye, you are a legitimate businessman. You own construction companies and restaurants that serve as massive washing machines for dirty money. The money comes in dirty, gets recorded as legitimate income, and goes out clean. But your real power is political. Elections are won through intimidation. Politicians come to your gated compound at night seeking your support. They pay you millions. On election day, you make a single phone call. Hundreds of your young strikers flood the polling stations with weapons. They smash ballot boxes and terrorize the opposition. In return, the politicians ensure that local law enforcement never raids your cyber compounds or drug warehouses. You negotiate with governors and generals. You don't threaten them, you make them offers, a suitcase of cash or an exposed scandal. You blend legitimate government authority with syndicate violence. You sit in air-conditioned offices drinking whiskey with lawmakers, realizing they are just as ruthless as the boys with machetes. Level 8. The Corona. You're 50. Through a brutal internal power struggle, you take the throne. You are the Corona, the global head of the syndicate. You control an empire of thousands of members spanning Africa, Europe, and the Americas. Your organization generates billions annually. When you give an order, it travels across continents and is executed without question. You are the CEO of a shadow multinational corporation. But ultimate power brings ultimate isolation. The FBI has a massive bounty on your head. You are the most hunted man on Earth. Your paranoia is eating you alive. You move between safe houses every 3 days. You trust no one, not even your closest lieutenants. You execute your own men based on suspicion alone, believing it is better to be safe than sorry. Your own children do not know who you really are. You have billions of dollars, but you cannot walk into a restaurant or attend a family event without a dozen armed guards scanning the room for snipers. You remember the 19-year-old boy in the dark dormitory. You spent your life climbing to the top of the food chain to avoid being prey, only to realize you are now the biggest target in the world. You live in a golden cage. Level 9. The Reckoning. You're 54. The machine finally breaks. It isn't a rival gang or a street war, it is a digital mistake. One of your top operators gets sloppy and uses a personal IP address. The FBI traces the connection. They flip him to avoid a massive prison sentence. He hands over the encrypted ledgers and your coordinates. The raid happens at dawn. 50 tactical officers swarm your compound, blowing the doors off the hinges. They cuff you in front of the news cameras. You are extradited and convicted on dozens of counts of organized crime, money laundering, and conspiracy. The judge sentences you to life without parole. You are sent to a supermax prison. You spend 23 hours a day in a concrete cell with a steel door and no windows. You will die here. You have nothing but time and the ghosts of everyone you hurt to get here. But outside those concrete walls, the syndicate does not die. A new leader steps up. The cyber scams adapt. The blood oaths continue. Somewhere in a dark dormitory in Benin City, a new 19-year-old boy is sitting alone. He is broke, desperate, and invisible. A knock echoes on his door. The men in black berets walk in. He watches them, hungry for power. And the cycle continues. Every empire of crime begins with one desperate boy and one knock on a door. Break the cycle. Share this video with someone standing at that crossroads right now. Subscribe, because the most dangerous thing in this world is being uninformed.